are back at Haftr Studios, learning Sefer Pituchei Chotam from Rabi Yakob Reveals. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Kasner and to Matt Levine and to Zach Newmark for an awesome job producing this video. All right, it's Parshas Tetzaveh. And wow, I got such an amazing shtickle here from Rabi Yaakov. I get the chills just thinking about this vart that he says. So let's take a look. Va'asu es ha'Eiphod. This week's parsha we discuss the garments that the Kohen Gadol wore, and the Kohen, and one of those was an apron, like it's called an Eiphod. Va'asu es ha'Eiphod, and you made it with zahav, gold, techelas va'argamon, and you had blue, purple, and telashani, crimson yarns, and it was sheish mashzar, fine twisted linen, maseh choshev, and that was all worked into the designs. Beautiful Eiphod. Rabbi Yaakov finds in this Eiphod a remez to the mouth, and the importance and the responsibility we have in using our peh. You know, Chazal have so many throughout Chazal, through Tanakh and Tehillim, and in Gemara and Medrash, we find so many psukim that really teach us and how to use our mouth. Who is somebody who desires life? If you want good, what should you do? Guard your tongue from evil, and your lips midaber mirma, says David HaMelech in Tehillim. Shleima HaMelech in Koheles, Kol Amal HaAdam Lefiu, all toil of man is with his mouth. Pirkei Avos, Kol Yom Gadalti Min HaChacham, Shimon ben Gamliel says, my whole life I grew up, V'lematzasi laguf toiv, I haven't found anything better for the body, Elashtika, silence. Siag l'chachma, again, Pirkei Avos, Shtika, silence. A very famous phrase, which is rooted in a Gemara and a Medrash. In Dibur Kesef, if speech is silver, Shtika Zav, silence is golden. And I actually looked up where this phrase come from, and I couldn't find, they have some poets who've said it more recently in the past 200-300 years, but what's the source for it? It's actually sourced in the Gemara that tells us, Amri b'Marava, in Eretz Yisrael they had a saying, Mila besela, a word is worth one sela, mashtuka betrain, but silence is worth two. That's the source of this idea of dibur kesef. If speech is silver, then shtika is golden. Silence is golden. What else can you use your mouth for? V'dibar tabam, the Gemara tells us, bam, you should speak in them in words of Torah, not in other things. That's a mitzvah saseh, to speak words of Torah and tefillah, not stam diburim, as we say. And the Gemara said, the Gemara darshans that you might think that you should be silent. You have a mouth, and what are you going to do with your mouth? Maybe you should be just silent all the time, even from divrei Torah. Maybe you shouldn't even learn. Talmud Leimar tzedek tedabrun. You got to speak words of Torah. And one more thing I'll tell you, and that's Yachris Hashem Kol Sifsei Chalakas. There's an Indian of kares, so to speak. Not using our lips, our words properly, can cause very severe kares. So on the one hand, we have mitzvahs. I say there's a speech that we can bring positivity and influence the world in a major way. And at the other hand, speech can cause us kares. So those are some Maramakamis Rabbi Yaakov shows us when it comes to speech. So what does that have to do with the Eiphod? Where's the remez in the Eiphod? Vasuas ha'Eiphod. Look at the word Eiphod. Aleph, Pei, Dalid. Aleph, Pei, Dalid equals 85, and that is a remez to the peh, to the mouth. So the Torah now is being meramis to us how you should deal with your mouth. When should I use it? When should I not use it? Give me some advice about the peh. So the first thing is zahav. Zahav, that's a reference that shtika is golden. Silence is golden. So if you're not sure if you should say something or not, the rule is you make more money keeping your mouth quiet, keeping your mouth closed. Silence is golden. Techelas ve'argaman. Techelas shares a word with tachlis. Tachlis. The tachlis, the main point, is how we use our mouth. The main point of what we come down to this world is it can be judged is how we use our mouth. And the word argamon, Rabi Yaakov finds a remez for 6 usage for the tongue. First, there are things that are aser, that you should stay away from. Rechilos, lashon hara, insulting people, oinas devarim, aser, stay away from that. The reish stands for reshus, things that you can talk about, it's fine. You do business, you do regular stuff, you can talk, that's fine, it's a reshus. Gemar, then there are things that you get to learn. That's fantastic. Gemar means to learn. Mem, mitzvah, you can use your words to give compliments, to make people feel good. You can daven, say Kriya Shema. And then there's nichris, the nun, things that cut you off from the world, things you got to stay away from. Mamish. That's merumiz in the argamon. So tchelas v'argamon. The tachlis is to figure out how to use our mouth properly. And the hint there is in the argamon. Telas shani. There are 2 things we're encouraged to use our mouth for. Torah and tefillah, davening, and for learning. Even when you do those, it should be telas. Telas in the pasuk is referring to crimson wool, which came from a worm. But you got to remind yourselves, even when you're doing things that you're talking about things that you're allowed to talk about. You're doing business, that's fantastic, but it should be done with modesty, with humility. Divrei chachamim benachas nishman. Words of the chacham, their words can be heard because they speak softly. Telas shani. When we're talking for permitted things, make sure it's done with humility, with modesty. Now, this is the deeper part of the Torah, and that is that our mouth, our tongue, and our lips, things that we use to make up words and speech, each of them have a ability to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a very deep way. That means there's a remez to 2 sheamus of Hashem in each of these. Now let's take a look at them. So first you have the mouth, the peh. The peh equals 85. 85 is 63, and 22 will give you 85. 63 is the Shem Havaya, b'milui Yud Vav Dalid, and then you do Hey is Hey Yud, Vav is Vav Aleph Vav, and then Hey Yud again, that gets you 63, Sag. That's one Shem you have to have in mind. And then the 22 refers to the 22 letters that we use to make words. So every time we use our mouth, there's a connection between the Shem Havaya of Sag and the 22 letters. The Shem Elikim equals 86, which is Peh plus 1 with the kailul, the word for one for the word itself. So that's our first 2 sheamus of Hashem. Now we move on to the tongue, the lashon. Lashon is 386. The Shechina plus 1 is 386. Elikim b'mila, you can spell it Elikim, Aleph, Lamed, Fei, v'chulei. Elikim spelled out equals 300. 300 plus the word Elikim itself gives you 386. That's Murim in Lashon, Shechina, and the Shem Elikim. And Safa is Gematria 385, which is the Gematria of Shechina, and Safa plus 1 gives you the Elikim, B'mili plus Elikim. So Rabbi Yaakov is telling us that every time we use our mouth, we're using sheamus of Hashem. So we got to keep that in mind. He says, V'sheish majzar. Sheish is a reference to the 6 sheamus that you get from the Peh Lashon and the Safa. It's the 6 sheamus of Hashem. Majzar, there's hidden there. The letters Majzar make Shem Raz or Sham Raz. Hidden there is a secret. Hidden is a secret. It's the 6 names of Hashem. That is what's in. That's every time we speak. That's what it means. Ma'aseh choshev. It's the product of one's thoughts. If we, he gives. I love Rabbi Yaakov gives us a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a taste of what's going on in the mind of a makubal, of a tzaddik emes. When they use their mouth, they're thinking about sheamus of Hashem, and that just is our responsibility. When to use our mouth, even if we're not going to be thinking of the sheamus of Hashem, but know that exists, and therefore that'll encourage us to use our mouths properly, to give compliments, to be positive, to spread warmth through our mouth, through our peh. And that way we'll be zeicha to have an Eiphod, to be like the Kohen Gadol. We can make our own Eiphod by using our mouth properly. Let's do that and have an awesome Shabbos.